Greetings, dear friends, and a very warm welcome to PeRuPlays, coming to you fresh from the most stunning island in the world, Cyprus. I am Peru, and we are back at Chips at Sea. You can observe the colleagues at the dock getting warmed up. I hope you are as well. I promised you that we would go whale watching, observing whales in the open sea, and that's exactly what we're doing today. I hope you have a lot of fun, everyone. If you like it, I would be very happy, of course, if you support this charming little channel a bit with a like, a follow, or maybe even subscribe to the channel. I would be just as delighted. All right, let's head to the shipyard. We need to quickly change the ship again. The John Feder is still present in this location. I have been transporting a variety of goods to this place. Indeed, let's make the necessary preparations to ensure that our John Fed is properly prepared. And now let's make sure that we swiftly switch the vessel. Please hold on for just a moment. There is our very own MacGyver indeed. Alright, let's quickly verify if everything is properly in order. A comprehensive wash is invariably beneficial indeed. Ah, there it is, the remarkable piece. I would say let's go ahead and pick up a task. But I find the music a bit loud, honestly, no kidding, it's a bit too much for me. Let's lower the volume of the music a little here. So, setting it to 25 should be sufficient. Bam. So, oh indeed, what you truly require, dear friends, is not just the assignment, but you should have acquired the binoculars here at the shop next door, because otherwise, the election observation simply will not function properly. A small piece of advice on the side. Well, tranquil seas, election monitoring, there it is. Let us promptly accept the mission. Wonderful, a quick evaluation of our current status. I am indeed very close to reaching ship class 5, and I am truly excited to find out what happens at that juncture. Whether something will happen. Will it rain confetti or roses? I don't know. However, indeed, matters are advancing quite diligently here. The skill points are beginning to accumulate at this point. Regrettably, I am unable to spend them at the present moment because I have already invested all the skill points that were available up to this point. The additional features will only become accessible with the forthcoming updates. This implies that we are gathering a little at the moment. Well, here lies our mission. It is not a significant task. We merely receive 1,000 credits for it and at least 1,000 experience points. Indeed, simultaneously, we notice that there is currently a maritime vessel in distress mission underway. If it remains active upon our return journey, we can definitely attend to the boat, but for now, our main focus is on the whales, allowing us to savor the wildlife present here on the ocean. Therefore, we have everything that we require here. Let's keep the door open because the best way to observe is genuinely to venture outside. Now we just have to see where our observation area is. Is that genuinely what it is? Is it really the case? That's perfectly acceptable. That's actually quite excellent. So let's examine how we can optimally reach that point. I will promptly establish a somewhat minor course for us just to acquire a somewhat broader overview here. So where are they generally located? Are they indeed closer today, or do we need to venture a bit further out? That's perfectly acceptable. It's part of the process. So that should bring us relatively close. Yes, I would say release the line. Let's proceed. I need to gradually enhance this excellent piece here, but on the other hand, I also want to conserve a bit so that we can acquire our initial tier 3 vessel together. It's quite costly enough. We need to advance in some manner. Then we also have payments to settle for the current tier 2 ship here, the Jan Feder 2. Yes, we have plenty of tasks to accomplish. Therefore, I shall initially navigate us into the correct position right here, after which we shall permit the autopilot to lead us out in a rather elegant manner. Absolutely. Then we need to briefly, where is it? There indeed, onward we go. Now that I have successfully acquired the rhythm, we do not necessitate any festive holiday lights here. Just like that, let us continue onward. Now we can speed up a bit here. Indeed, this week there was yet another minor update for chips, which is consistently distributed in incremental portions, and that is absolutely acceptable. These were more technical bug fixes this time. Apparently, work is also being done on the cargo. The pipeline, which we thoroughly discussed during our earlier conversation, this significant construction pipeline is presently temporarily deactivated. Modifications are being carried out there. Consequently, there's a considerable amount of work taking place, but there aren't many noticeable changes in this update, or rather none that I am able to demonstrate to you. Therefore, today we'll simply embark on a mission, enjoy the overall experience, and I hope we have the opportunity to observe the whale here as well. So we don't just have to be there and watch, but we have to spot each of the whales, and in this case there's actually only one. Last time I was out there were 2 or 3, I believe. We definitely need to spot him through the binoculars for 3 seconds, then the mission is considered complete. So now that we're out of the harbor area, we can go a bit faster here. At present, the weather appears to be relatively favorable. Now we must proceed a bit further into the open sea. I sincerely hope the weather cooperates to some extent, because the main point is that there is an observation area, so to speak. It is essential to remain within that specific area for the observation to be effective. In the event of strong waves causing you to be driven away, it is necessary to first return to the designated area in order to continue with the mission. It's a bit tricky, depending on the weather, and you must of course look in the right direction where a whale is surfacing. That adds to the challenge, of course. I observe that the current wind speed is 6 knots. I sincerely hope we do not venture too far out, as it might indeed become quite challenging with the whale watching today. The sky appears to be quite clear, however. With a wind speed of 6 knots, it might become slightly choppy out there because of the waves. Indeed, it is genuinely not that far out. It's merely 1.2 nautical miles. If we're a bit lucky, the water will be relatively calm, so we won't drift away too quickly, and we'll have enough time to spot the whale and keep it in sight through the binoculars for long enough. I consistently hope for an assignment involving a blazing vessel that requires us to extinguish the flames. I've never had the opportunity to do that before. I would really like to attempt it because I am eager to find out if it's completely burned out or if we still need to tow it back to the harbor. What do we receive for such an assignment? It's somewhat more labor-intensive. I would be intrigued by that as well. However, up to this point, we have only had vessels to tow. It's not a significant issue at the moment, but, well, if you decide to go through with it, you would want the entire package. So we can already see the second symbol here. We see the area, and on the right we see the symbol for the whale. This is the emblem you should observe for when we are within the vicinity, and we must aim for the wall promptly indeed, and if it is submerged, poof, the emblem is naturally vanished. It is also somewhat a matter of timing. Yes, it's really a short distance here, isn't it? Fingers crossed, thumbs crossed, and toes crossed, hoping that the weather remains stable and particularly the sea. We will require approximately 1 or 2 additional minutes to arrive at the designated area. Until that time, the weather conditions here, as experience has demonstrated, can change quite suddenly. It wouldn't be the first time that the weather completely changes from 1 minute to the next. The waves are quite high, the storm is intense, the fog is thick, and the rain is pouring down heavily. Everything is present. The whale is just resurfacing. Are we able to see anything at this moment? Nope. Yes, it's dragging a bit now, but I also don't want to push too hard, so we don't end up bouncing wildly around here. That's not necessary. I don't want to capsize the ship here. My plan is, once we arrive at the target area, to simply move to the front of the loading area so that we have more or less a panoramic view and can really see definitively when and where the whale surfaces. The typical music is quite exceptionally smooth, isn't it? On longer trips I have to turn on web radio, otherwise I might end up hitting my head on the keyboard. It's not that the music is bad, but I find it kind of sleep-inducing over time. But internet radio doesn't work in the stream or in the videos, right? That's clear. This is something I'm wondering about now, whether it will be available as an option, for example, to drop anchor. If one says, like here with election observation, I want to stay in place, I want to remain secure in the area, that one can drop anchor. This is what I miss, for example. That would be a cool thing. And indeed, should anyone from Miss C Studios or Miss Games happen to hear this, kindly consider the possibility of implementing it, an anchor. Just envision how delightful or how significantly more enjoyable the fishing experience would become. Stay there during the break, spend the night, drop the anchor, and return to work refreshed the next morning right where you stopped. Therefore, there exists an additional rationale as to why I am not progressing toward the vicinity with undue haste. The detailed description further advises to pause momentarily, employ a telescope to observe, well, as it generally states in the extensive description, without prompting them to flee. That means I shouldn't get too close, and I probably shouldn't be too fast or too loud, I assume. So blowing the horn now would be a bad idea. That would be the end of whale watching, I guess. Therefore, as I said, I'm approaching very cautiously here. And folks, to be completely honest with you all, do you know what truly excites me? Besides the ferries that are coming with the next major update, it's the Tier 3 ship in the service area because it genuinely appears to have passenger transportation capabilities as well. You most certainly have a designated passenger area, but 69 million? Are you out of your mind, my friend? 69 million for the TT Tier 3 vessel? I'm genuinely freaking out, my friends. I must labor for an extended period for that. Quite extended. So, at 0.4, I will slightly decelerate the velocity here, and we shall carefully observe something. No, I genuinely presume that there are consistently at least a pair of whales by default in the mission. This time, actually just one. Such a school of whales would have been nice, like a whole herd, so to speak. Thus, we are gradually yet certainly nearing our designated observation point. What I have just observed is that this particular vessel does not possess sonar capabilities. Why is that the case? Well, it is indeed a service ship, but even so, certainly the sea is becoming somewhat more turbulent here once again. There is indeed a potential risk of drifting out of the designated observation area here. Darn! I sincerely hope, I truly hope it still works out. Oh my goodness, that was exactly what I had already feared. But what can someone possibly do in such a predicament? It's rather unfavorable in the shallow waters that lie ahead. At this particular moment, we find ourselves almost at the final destination of our road trip. Let's take a moment to discuss the unforeseen event that occurred. I'm not completely certain if you happen to observe it over there, so we are not really approaching closely, at least not just yet. Of course, the question is, how close should one really get? Yes, the swell isn't really helping here right now. If the sea gets too rough, I'll stay in the cabin and try to spot it from there, because by the time I'm outside, I'll have the right position. I might have to go back again because of the rough seas or something. Then, unfortunately, it doesn't make sense to go forward. Therefore, an extra 260 meters. Yes, we are slowly trudging along. The ocean's waves, everyone, they genuinely make it quite challenging to consistently maintain the whale within our line of sight, so let's practice diligently. We must keep our gaze fixed on it for a duration of 3 full seconds. A duration of 3 seconds, that should be sufficient. Okay, our GPS is notifying us that we have arrived at our destination. I'll turn it off now. I hope we spot the whale relatively quickly, otherwise we will be carried away here, also quite quickly. All right, we have arrived at the observation zone. I'll go to the cabin. Oh, come on, let's seize the opportunity. Let's head out, let's head out. He should appear in front of us or a bit to the left, like he always has. I am optimistic that he will repeat it again soon. There was just a signal, but regrettably, we missed it. We were spaced out. Where are you? Come out. I'm a big whale fan. I've seen all 3 parts of Free Willy. No, I am not going to take you to a zoological park. Come on out. By the way, we must always keep an eye on our area here to see how far we are moving. Not that we drift away and the observation becomes invalid due to being outside the designated area. That situation can also occur if you drift excessively far from the observation point. Oh, kindly make an appearance, please. There he is. We have successfully managed to capture him. Moby Dick is alive. Isn't he absolutely majestic? Isn't he extraordinarily beautiful? Thank goodness. Indeed, and I'm genuinely delighted because I had a strong desire to present these animals to you within the game. I believe they have crafted them in an exceptionally beautiful manner. Absolutely gorgeous. Indeed, we have successfully accomplished the mission. We are currently making our way back to Rus. Let us determine if the emergency situation persists. No, we are heading back regardless, because in the event that something happens, we would be in close proximity. We'll first go back to the harbor entrance, and then we'll see if we're needed. So, let's ensure we make ourselves comfortable at this moment. Following the thrilling experience with the wall, we are now proceeding back in a leisurely and relaxed manner. Now comes the crucial moment when we turn. Let's hope a wave doesn't tip us over. It would be, I would say, less than ideal. Now it's beginning to rain as well. Wonderful, everything is in full motion here. Activating windshield wipers. Okay. So now it's time to get down to business. I genuinely hope that we are able to manage to turn around safely. I must remind you once more, we still have the standard engine and the standard tank here. Everything remains fundamentally vanilla, which I somewhat miss up to this moment. And actually, if I remember correctly, in the early days, the tasks for repair, of lighthouses, signal fires, I thought they were included in the missions, but I don't see them anymore. I am uncertain if I should proceed there at this moment. Similar to a track route, you understand, a control route, I have no clue. We will need to attempt that in one of the forthcoming editions. Do not forget, if you wish to see more content related to chips and other elements, we are gradually entering the thrilling phase that leads to the culmination of the early access period. Therefore, please leave a like, give a thumbs up, ring the notification bell, subscribe, or naturally subscribe to the Chips playlist. There you can observe once more how the game has evolved up to the present day, and indeed you will notice a significant amount has occurred. I would be truly delighted if you join us naturally for upcoming episodes and live streams as well. I think we need a little more power here. Therefore, it now makes complete sense. So with approximately 3/4 of the available power moving ahead, we head back towards the east. Let's keep an eye out. Maybe we'll get lucky and receive another emergency call right here. Maybe even a burning vehicle, like a burning boat. As I said, that would actually be a first for me. If you remember, in the last episode, we were unfortunately busy. We couldn't take care of it, but we had a burning boat. By the time the task was completed, it was too late. By then, of course, the thing was already well done, and the task was gone. But I swear, friends, we'll still manage to get this done. What I am curious about is whether it is similar with the service ship, where you receive larger and more intricate tasks, because up to this point, I consistently observe the same tasks. We have already witnessed either rescue operations at sea or election monitoring activities. Additionally, we have also observed waste management and disposal in the harbor area. However, as I previously mentioned, I genuinely missed the assignments where you truly received a specific task here, there, and elsewhere, such as repairing a lighthouse and so forth. Where did that feature disappear to? I sincerely hope this issue gets addressed promptly, ideally with one of the final 2 updates before early access, because I distinctly recall we engaged in that activity during the initial phases. We repaired a navigational beacon, I recall that clearly, because we had to install electrical fuses, set up lamps. It was somewhat more intricate, and I thought it was quite interesting and a refreshing change of pace in the gameplay naturally. I also believe, particularly when it comes to diversity, Chips ATS is truly the jack of all trades for me. It encompasses everything within it. You don't merely drive from point A to point B, you have the opportunity to engage in transport, you have the opportunity to perform service tasks, such as I mentioned, sea rescue and so forth. Repair assignments and similar activities. Or just fishing. As I mentioned previously, beginning with update number 4, the passenger and automobile ferries will be introduced, and then things will truly start to progress, I believe. And no one can tell me that there's nothing for them or that it's just a matter of going from A to B. Chips Etsy has indeed selected an opportune moment to unveil the complete version, as we will soon be thrilled by the introduction of a new maritime simulator available in early access, specifically Seafarer from, if I am not mistaken, Astragon. That seems to be rather promising indeed. Perhaps in one of the forthcoming episodes, we shall take a more in-depth look at the trailer and endeavor to analyze in detail what we might expect. It certainly appears intriguing, although I harbor some reservations that everything depicted in the trailer will truly manifest in the game exactly as shown. However, as I previously mentioned, we shall certainly take a closer look and maintain our focus on it to some extent, but for the time being, we will remain here with Chipsetsi. Yes, and now we're heading inland again. The sea has calmed down. We're making progress. Wonderful. Now, seriously, friends, I really want to finally use my water cannon up there. You see it at the bow. I really want to use it. I finally want a mission. Sea rescue with fire. Therefore, I am conducting a brief inspection to ascertain if there is an additional emergency mission. Occasionally, one might overlook this notification, this textual notification. Thus, I consistently ensure to verify the mission just in case. I was on the verge of mentioning apologies. I was merely momentarily distracted. Indeed, we are meticulously accumulating kilometers here in anticipation of obtaining the subsequent ship license. I'm not entirely certain how many there are in total. Therefore, if Tier 5 represents the largest ship, then logically, License 5 ought to be the final one, correct? Let's say... Currently, we are experiencing the authentic and typical Hamburg inclement weather, reminiscent of the conditions I recall from my previous harbor hometown. Sending greetings to Hamburg. I could bet on that. The game lets us nicely and calmly sail back to the harbor first, and only after we've docked, the next emergency call comes. I can see it already, folks. I can see it already. Oh, what I intended to verify is whether our boat here, hold on a moment, it already possesses automatic features. Does our boat actually have a fuse box located somewhere? No. Is it possible that solely Tier 2 vessels or ships from Tier 2 and beyond are equipped with fuse boxes? Could that potentially be the situation? By the way, please secure the ladder immediately. Is it possible for us to ascend up there? We are able to ascend up there, my friend. We are indeed able to ascend up there. We could have made observing elections even simpler for ourselves. How incredibly cool is that? I'm witnessing this for the very first time. Alright, there's no fuse box. However, there is a vantage point here. Nice. I'm genuinely struggling internally with this decision. Should I proceed with upgrading the box or not? I am aware that eventually I will have to do so, considering that I will be operating the box for an extended period, much like how I had to drive the Janveda 1 for a significant duration until I could afford the Tier 2 class. This is because there is a possibility that we might secure better and larger contracts if it is technically upgraded in accordance with the requirements. Okay. Practice makes perfect. Therefore, we have reached the harbor entrance, Rostein, once again, and we are now able to observe it just ahead. Yes, regarding the multiplayer, I will try it out here from time to time. As I said, unfortunately, it's still quite empty during the early access phase. I would emphasize that it's not yet used much. I'm hopeful this will change with the full release, especially when the radio in the top right corner works and communication is possible. I think then it will really thrive online, especially in multiplayer. Consequently, if we arrive at the harbor and have not yet received any distress signal, then I would recommend that we proceed directly to the shipyard, evaluate how expensive the necessary updates are, and that would be somewhat of an initial step. Ah, a vessel is currently ablaze. A vessel is indeed ablaze. Alert, alert, alert. So, just a moment, we'll promptly deactivate the navigation system as we must establish a new trajectory. So now we have to see where the poor guy, I was just about to say he is too, right? Where he's located. Therefore, we shall proceed to navigate past the harbor in this particular location, which is approximately directly ahead. Do you believe we will arrive in a timely manner? I sincerely hope so. I will make certain not to approach too closely, as it is uncertain what exactly is transpiring with that individual over there. Hey friends, we're heading out for our first fire mission. Alert, therefore proceed at maximum velocity forward. At this particular moment, we are going to increase our pace somewhat, as it is indeed a rescue mission, and I am genuinely curious to discover whether we merely have to extinguish the fire, or if we also need to tow it back to the harbor. At this moment, we have the opportunity to take a closer examination as we are currently en route. I am genuinely intrigued to discover what we will receive for this endeavor, as it is not visible from this vantage point. Okay, so a ship is on fire in the open sea, and it is up to you to extinguish the fire. Navigate through the waves with the supply boat and use your water cannon to put out the flames. Reach the boat and put out the flames. So, at this moment, I sincerely hope we manage to arrive promptly. We're actually not even that far away. It's less than a mile from our current location. Dude, I'm so excited. Hopefully I don't mess it up with the water cannon. It's my debut and you all get to be there. It's funny, earlier I was just talking about how awesome that would be. We're so lucky, folks. Really lucky. Can you see anything yet? Looming flames and billowing smoke? No, not quite yet. Please wait a moment. Your retinat. I consistently find the scenery in this location to be absolutely beautiful, with the harbor and all its surroundings is just so wonderfully intricate. It's truly enjoyable just to gaze around, and you continuously uncover small details. Fortunately, we promptly responded immediately after receiving the urgent emergency call and set off without delay. That means we should, hopefully, arrive on time, correct? We have to see. We need to be careful how close we can get, as we don't want to catch fire ourselves. That would be disastrous. So we must see at some point. This must be some kind of smoking or something similar. Once a luxurious yacht caught fire here in the harbor located in Larnaca. It was absolutely blazing, man. The smoke clouds extended for kilometers, forming deep, dark clouds. I would have anticipated a bit more from this particular experience at this moment. However, alright, let's proceed and see what unfolds. It certainly will not be a false alarm. Approximately 450 meters in the forward direction, there seems to be something, yet it remains concealed by the symbols that are present here. At this moment we are encountering the initial flames, and alright, please hold on, we are on our way. Therefore, on this occasion, we absolutely must exit the cabin, since the water cannon requires manual operation, if I observe that accurately. The Tier 2 ship is said to possess an automatic water cannon. How should I envision that? Does the thing have a heat sensor? Does it align itself automatically? No idea. Unfortunately, it will take a little while before we find that out. As I have previously stated, with just around approximately 1 million, you will have already successfully reached the Tier 2 ship. Oh my goodness. Alright, we shall attempt to bring the situation under better control at this particular moment. Am I capable of managing it independently yet? Not quite yet. We'll slow down for now. Kindly wait for a brief moment and deactivate it slightly earlier, as maintaining concentration is essential, my dear friends. Yes, it's sizzling here, you can hear it. I don't know how close I need to get. I'm playing it safe. I hope this is enough now. Alright friends, it's time to go. We must move on. Alright, direct the water cannon. Okay, depart. What does depart signify? No, do not depart, for heaven's sake. Target precisely, modify intensity. What, hunting area? I am completely unable to perceive anything at all. Alright, everyone. We are actively working on it. We are diligently working on it. The waves are definitely doing their part, and they seem totally uninterested in my efforts. Oh man, it's swaying quite significantly, and I'm encountering a bit of a difficulty here at this moment. We are gradually drifting farther away. Oh no, I apologize, but I must express it in this manner. I couldn't articulate it more effectively at this moment. Apologies, apologies. We must reposition briefly. Oh dear, reverse please. This is quite astonishing. We need to approach once more. I would prefer to get nearer, but I'm somewhat reluctant because I am concerned about encountering an issue with the lamb here, even though our vessel is constructed of steel. Correct? It should indeed withstand the situation here, shouldn't it? Alright, let's make another attempt at this once more. Oh boy, this is truly exhausting me. Oh, by utilizing the controller, it genuinely feels somewhat enhanced. Oh yes, is it coming through at this precise moment or not? I am unable to ascertain if he is establishing contact, and that poses a considerable problem, everyone. Why is there no interaction taking place? Are our water resources exhausted, or what precisely occurred here? I am unable to even identify where the water is being directed, and I am beginning to encounter a bit of a dilemma here. Heaven help us, this must be controllable in some fashion. Yes! It is indeed the initial occasion, and the years of apprenticeship are not the years of mastery. I sincerely hope this does not mean he must go under now, merely because a trainee is at the helm, as that would be quite unfortunate naturally. I shall endeavor to align with the drift direction here, so that we might drift towards him, which is preferable to drifting away from him. In any case, the subsequent attempt must be manageable here. So now, come on, give it to him. Am I imagining this, or is it diminishing? Well, hallelujah, praise the Almighty. Do we require to tow him at this particular moment, or what exactly is transpiring here? In a theoretical perspective, I would assert that we are indeed required to tow it. Hold on for a brief moment, let's carefully examine what the mission description indicates. Well, it is no longer being towed. It is simply going to be submerged right here in the harbor basin. I have no idea, everyone. I'm feeling somewhat anxious at this present moment. Alright, then I would suggest that after this unexpectedly successful mission, we proceed back to the home port. Yes, move along. No, I didn't mean that. Move along. Let's just make our way home in a calm and steady manner. Off we go. Goodness gracious, that was incredibly close. That was truly close. I must confess, the control of the water cannon is somewhat, let's say, challenging, but we shall not complain. It functioned, it merely necessitates a bit of finesse. I've attempted it in two methods now, once with keyboard controls and once with a controller. I discovered it was nearly more manageable to handle with a controller. So I finished almost the whole last part of the firefighting with the controller. I felt somewhat more secure with it. Utilizing the keyboard is somewhat challenging. Now that was a relatively small sized boat, so theoretically later on, at least when we have a larger sized ship, tier 2 and upwards, we should also be able to extinguish larger sized ships accordingly. I am genuinely quite curious about what else might be coming our way. It was enjoyable though, even if it's naturally somewhat hectic the initial time, because you don't fully know what you're supposed to do or if you're executing it correctly when you do it. Nevertheless, the subsequent time we will approach it in a considerably more composed and organized manner, as we now possess a solid and comprehensive understanding of the situation. Yes, and with that, we are now ready for action. Also, as a harbor fire department, so to speak. Great! I am genuinely crawling around in this place. Here, we are able to drive somewhat faster, and I find it quite pleasant that there are two activities we managed to accomplish together for the very first time. One of them I did for the first time ever, and both worked out. The timing was perfect too, allowing us to have everything in one episode. It doesn't improve beyond this. The sole aspect I found genuinely problematic with the extinguishing process is that it becomes exceedingly challenging to discern where the water jet precisely lands, particularly at extended distances when the jet is considerably lengthy and arcs. I don't have 100% accuracy with that, but maybe it'll come with time. Otherwise, I find the idea and the performance with the extinguishing, the experience very awesome. Very awesome. It's fun. We can do it more often. I also genuinely enjoy operating the service. Nevertheless, the reason I don't operate it that frequently is because there aren't truly any high-paying opportunities available yet. We require financial resources as we must enhance the ships with superior engines, improve propulsion systems, and so forth. You understand the situation, and it's not particularly straightforward. That suggests I shall continue to engage in cargo missions for the foreseeable future, and perhaps alongside that, I'll endeavor to try a bit of fishing once again, and indeed, we'll certainly explore that at some point. We haven't participated in any fishing here yet, at least not in the video, but we'll at least create an episode. As I mentioned earlier, I've fished extensively in Fishing Barents Sea and its sequel, so I'm somewhat weary of it, to be honest. I'm more inclined towards cargo, and as I stated, I find the service ship here quite impressive. I hope we soon receive higher paid and more intricate assignments. I believe we'll have a great deal of enjoyment with this vessel. I actually find it remarkable that we've left the ship at sea because I don't think it's seaworthy anymore. I would say it's barely holding up, but we could have conveniently delivered it on the return journey. But it functions this way too. Now, let's locate a suitable docking spot and then swiftly proceed to the shipyard. Let's see if we can do something beneficial for our fine vessel. It certainly merits it, having achieved quite a bit. Occasionally, you have to expend a little money even if you're attempting to economize, but of course we want to advance a bit with the service ship, And if the ship's equipment is the reason we're not obtaining larger assignments, then I'm willing to invest a bit. We don't want to walk too far. I'm a bit lazy, I must admit. With the ship, of course, let's get close here, okay? We're directly across from the shipyard, which is convenient. So let's deactivate all the equipment here. We don't need the lanterns now. Activate the work lights, folks. We don't need the fishing gear anymore, so everything should be fine. Everything's fresh. Alright, let's skillfully maneuver the vessel a bit closer as we have diligently practiced, ensuring it doesn't drift uncontrollably. Let's carefully and precisely guide it in. Yes. So now it's perfectly in place. Wonderful. Good evening. Is it even evening yet? Never mind. I was briefly confused. Are you doing gymnastics again? All these athletic NPCs present here, they really ought to be working. So, let us take a closer look. What exactly do I have here in front of me? I believe I've already installed a relatively decent propeller. Whether we can or should do something about it, well, whatever. Like I mentioned, it's always a financial question. Alright, let's examine the situation. Is there anything that requires repairing here? Initially, no, it seems like just a wash is needed. Alright, yes, let's take a closer look. The controls here are just for show, so we don't really need to look too closely. Besides, I've already gotten some fancy control milk. The engine would be more interesting. Oh, come on now, never mind that. Let's proceed with a deluxe enhancement for our fine vessel. We really need to accelerate the pace a bit here. The tank is upgraded. What else do we have? The throttles on this vessel are unfortunately just decorative, and I've already taken care of that matter here as well. Hold on for a moment. Let me pause. Where were my adjustments there? So, we have the engine, the fuel tank, and the throttles. As I mentioned, it's quite futile. The propeller, at the very most, we possess this 3-blade propeller. Yes, it doesn't matter. Let's upgrade it anyway. In fact, items that we do not utilize can also be sold. I can wholeheartedly recommend this to you because they are simply sitting idle and you are not making use of them. Is there anything else here that I can sell? Oh, I have not yet installed that at all, but I definitely should get around to doing it. So, alright, the engine has now been successfully installed, okay? Well, dear friends, technically speaking, our MacGyver ought to now be thoroughly up to date or in the most optimal condition achievable, I would confidently assert. Yes, and I think after this busy day, we all deserve a break. Folks, I hope you enjoyed it. If so, don't be shy. Thumbs up, ring the bell, and if you're really brave, subscribe. That would make me happy. And yes, otherwise, thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye.